I'm here with Dan, and we're going to talk about his podcast. Dan, can you explain a little bit about your podcast?
Sure thing. First, Todd, thanks for having me on your site. Just checked out your site this morning. It's a great place, so it's good to be a part of it. Our podcast is called the Lifestyle Business Podcast, and it's something we started about 2.5 years ago. And really what we wanted to share our journey through entrepreneurship. And so basically we go on the podcast every week, talk about our failures, talk about our successes, the approach we take to business. And what's happened is that we've just attracted a lot of like minds, like yourself, people that are interested in the internet, people that are interested in travel, and those types of things. They listen to the show and they interact with us, so it's been a lot of fun.
So your podcast is quite successful. What is it that makes a podcast do so well? Like, what are the tips and the tricks that you could tell other people if they wanted to start their own podcast?
That's a great question. If I knew the answer, I might be a rich man. I don't know. I really feel like we put out our podcast to like 40 people for a year. So I think we don't really know. I mean, we're honest, we're transparent, we legitimately try to help people as much as we can. If somebody sends me an email, I respond, within 48 hours, regardless if they're a client of mine or anything. So I think it's just really I think people eventually started to latch on to that legitimacy, the authenticity of us really caring about business, really caring about our audience. And it's unfortunately not much of a tip because it's more of an approach that takes years. And so I don't know if there's any real quick answer. Podcasts are tough and they're a lot of work.
So can you go into detail a little bit about what you talk about on your podcast? Like, what are some of the topics or some issues that you would look at?
As much as I'd like to say we're focusing primarily on clear, actionable, tactical advice, the most popular episodes tend to be mindset issues. I mean, especially in the age of the internet, access to capital is relatively simple, access to resources and outsourcing and staff and putting a website up. All these things are relatively achievable for most people. The really tricky part is sort of getting over yourself and getting your mindset straight and being focused on the types of things that you want to achieve in your business. And Ian and I, we've been in the position where we've been doing it for 6 or 7 years, running these types of businesses. And people really enjoy it when we share those mindset hacks, as we call them, the mindset issues that help people to succeed in business.
I like that term, mindset hack. Could you explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a bunch of to break down the term. I mean, hack is a term taken from the computer industry, or even before that, the electronics industry. People who could put together things in unique ways. And when you apply that term hack to mindset, it means sort of a clever way of tricking yourself into acting in a way that you want to act. And sometimes we get the better of ourselves, even though we prefer to act one way, we act another. And we talk a lot about that. If it is the case that you want to have a successful business and you don't have one, what is it that you can do to sort of trick yourself into being successful? And we've come up with some pretty interesting approaches to that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan. Great stuff.